everybody. Welcome to Introduction to Dynamics 365 Business Central and Teams Collaboration. We're excited to have you on today. Excited to be able to share how Business Central and Teams works together. By way of just some housekeeping items, first of all, this session is being recorded, and we are going to make it available to everyone after the event. All attendees are going to be muted, so if you have questions, please put those in the chat, and we'll be able to respond to them in chat or at the end as we have time in the session to do those. If you are having any problems, please mention that in the chat, or you can also email support@journeyteam.com. And then lastly, at the end, near the end of the session, we're going to be doing a survey. We'd ask you to fill out. It's a quick 7 questions, really fast survey. We'll be doing a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card every hour for those people who fill out those surveys, as well as you'll be entered into a drawing at the end for a new Sapphire Surface Pro 9. So with that, want to just give everyone a brief background on JourneyTEAM for those of you who don't know. So JourneyTEAM, we've been around for 29 years. We're over 130 team members. In fact, I think we're getting close to 150 now. You can see that we've done a lot of projects. We work with a lot of different companies around the country. With that, obviously being a partner, doing everything that we've done for so long, we've won quite a few awards. We've been Partner of the Year a couple of times. We are a Gold Partner. We've been part of Microsoft's Inner Circle, as well as won many Best Places to Work and VAR Star awards and things of that nature. From a Microsoft technology standpoint, we work across most of the Microsoft technologies. ERP, which you guys are here to talk to about today. CRM, we do a lot with Microsoft 365 and Azure. Collaboration and content, data and BI, and then we also have a focus around change management and adoption. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our presenters, Mikhail Anderson and Cecily Nelson, to be able to get into our session today.
Hello, I'm Cecily Nelson. I have been with JourneyTEAM for about 22 years, so as you saw, a little bit of time there with the company. I've done implementations for a little bit longer than that. I started as an end user and decided that I loved coming into companies and assisting them with their plans and their processes and just cleaning them up and making life a lot easier for them. So that's a little bit about me.
And I'm Mikhail Anderson. I've been with JourneyTEAM for about 2 years. I've spent about 12 years all in the implementation game. So I have held a lot of end users' hands, helping them as we implement into new systems. I'd love to see the change from an older system with antiquated processes to cleaning a lot of those things up, finding efficiencies, and moving forward. So today we're going to start with the.
We're gonna stop sharing our screen so that this will make sure it goes a little bit easier. So I have to click back in. Sorry.
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect. So by way of introduction of Business Central is Microsoft's product for small to medium businesses. This is an ERP system that allows us to connect all of our processes in one system. So as you can see here, it's kind of a conglomerate of all of the things that are happening. As we look through, we can dig deeper into finance. On the finance side, we're going to have all of our standard payroll, banking, account statements, as well as reporting, our chart of accounts, our financial reports. All of those things are fed in by our transactions within the system. So we have our purchases, everywhere from quote to invoice, as well as on the sales side, the same thing. We have the ability to forecast and plan both on the purchase and sales side. There's also the ability to maintain manufacturing. So as we track manufacturing from raw materials into finished goods, all of those transactions are going to hit and impact our general ledger. So as we put everything into a single system, we're able to report, we're able to work as a company together as things flow all together. Also, there is some pieces on maintaining the system. Business Central is a cloud product, so we access it via the web. Because it's a cloud product and you're updated regularly with Microsoft, you're able to continue to you're able to continue seeing all of these different pieces. So on the left-hand side, we have our vendors. As our vendors have all of our different transactions, those are going to flow through. And then on the right-hand side, we have our customers. So as our customers are interacting with the system, whether we're getting a quote, a new customer, a customer statement, we're going to see all of that within Business Central. So this is kind of an overview of all the different little things and all the pieces that are within Business Central. Today, we wanted to jump into the system and show you a demo walking through kind of how Business Central looks and feels and how it works. We'll jump over there now. So as I mentioned before, we access this via the web. So as you can see, I have my account string here at the top. With my account string, I have different companies and environments that are all accessed via different web addresses. The first thing that you can note here, this is our dashboard. As we enter into Business Central, we have our dashboard, which has different navigation, different activity queues down here, actions. A lot of these are customizable, meaning that we have many different roles, is what Microsoft calls them, profile and roles. Within the profile and roles, you can see this one, I'm on sales order processor. So if it was my role to process sales orders, I could create new sales quotes, invoices, orders through the actions. But if we jumped over to Business Manager, you can now see Business Manager might be someone that sits on both sides. They can manage sales and purchases. So the actions are viewed differently here. Also, as we look down at these activity queues in Business Manager, you can see I have both sales and purchases. Each of these activity queues can be opened up as we have purchase orders. We can open it up and it'll show me a list of my open purchase orders. So you can see these are the purchase orders that we're actively working on. I, from this screen, can then process, continue, post it, send it, whatever I might need to do for that day. So the dashboard is a quick way to access the jobs that we're going to be working through. And then they are, you can switch between them quickly with the settings. At the bottom, as you continue scrolling past all these different activity queues, there is some reporting. Hold on, it's thinking. Right here, we can set up our favorite accounts. We also can see a quick view of the trial balance, and you have the option of populating Power BI reports here if you have created any. So again, as we see all of these things throughout the system, as we see these underlined, and they're often this blue color, each of these are actionable buttons, meaning that we can drill deeper into the numbers. So I can see, oh, that trial balance is created of this information. If I wanted to see the actual transactions, I can open them up right here. So these are the actual invoices that were posted. I can dive deeper into them. I can see the transactions. I can reverse them. I can correct them or adjust as needed. So as we navigate from the main page here, we also have our bookmarks across the page. These are things that you can save, your quick access. And we also have actionable items here to find. One of the biggest features of Business Central that is used most frequently is this magnifying glass here up in the top. From the magnifying glass, we can open it up and we can search. So as I begin to type a word, it will search for me. I'm looking for the customers. It's going to first show me on the current page we have to create a new customer, to create a new sales quote, or view our customer statements. These are buttons that are showing on the screen that I'm looking at. The second section is pages and tasks. This is going to show the actual lists of the customers or our Shopify customers. If you click show all, there's many different things, anything that's showing that word cust. So, because I only searched with a portion of it. After pages and tasks, we also have reports and analysis. Under reports and analysis, we can run certain customer reports or things that we might be looking for. So as we come here, this is a quick search that we can find things. I can look for the general ledger by searching shortened versions of the word. It's a quick way to open up what's going on in general ledger entries rather than finding it through the navigation of the dashboard. At the bottom, there's two other sections. There's also documentation. Microsoft does have documentation that we can access, and you can search the help for more details. And then at the bottom, there is the app source. So as Microsoft Business Central is a cloud source product, you have the ability to add in extensions. So extensions are often built by third-party companies that add in additional features and code to Business Central. So some are subscription-based, some are free, or some are flat rate. And as you purchase those and put them into your Business Central, you can gain additional functionality or specific functionality to the industry that you may be in. So those kind of options will show up here at the bottom, and then you can always open that and search. So let's go ahead and we're going to open up what one of these customer list pages would look like. So on the customer list page, you can see this is a list of all of my customers. I have my number, my name. I have a credit limit, payment terms. Each of these screens as a list is actionable, meaning I can open it up. I also can process. There's actions across the top here that I can interact with that customer. I also have the ability to personalize this screen. I can do settings, personalize. With personalization, I can remove fields. I can adjust fields, and I can add new fields if I wanted to see something else that wasn't here. This gives me the option to personalize. So as I personalize for myself, I will see these changes forever. You also have the ability to personalize by role. As you personalize by role, then every person that uses that role will see the same setup and design. You do have the ability to turn these things on and off or as needed. So here on the customer page, we also have the ability to take this out to Excel. You can see right here we have the share option. We can do open in Excel, and that will take exactly what I'm seeing, drop it into an Excel file, and I can open it and see all of the details in Excel. If I wanted to run some quick summaries or calculations, I could do so from this screen. On all of the screens throughout the system, you will see these buttons. You'll see these export share where you can open in Excel. There's also an option to edit in Excel. Edit in Excel will connect to the source data. Utilizing security will verify if you have the ability to view the customers and then allow you to edit inside Excel and then publish the data back into Business Central. We'll talk more about Teams in a minute. You also can copy these links and share them with other coworkers. Coworkers that have the same security can then open the exact same form. The other options that you'll see on all fields are filtering. We'll dive more into that in a moment. And then there is the info pane or fact box. On the right, the fact box is very similar to what you might see on the dashboard. This is specific to the customer that I've highlighted on the left. It'll show me all of their open orders, all of their posted orders, as well as some customer statistics to see what has been happening with this customer inside the system. We have the ability to add attachments, documents, or notes or links. Another extension that we see often here is linking this to your SharePoint and saving all of your contracts in SharePoint and linking them here to your specific customers. So rather than having two places where you have to save everything, they're linked together via the attachment form. So as we review this list page is identical for the vendor side as well, and items and general ledger. So we have a list page. Each of the list page then can open up to a specific customer card. On the customer card, you can see here we have more details on their transaction. We can see their balances. These fields are all grayed out as they're not editable. You would have to actually make transactions for them to show up here. Underneath the customer ledger entries, you can see the subledger for the customer showing all of the transactions. These are all transactions that are related to that specific customer that I opened throughout the life of their role in our system. We can see their payments, their credit memos, invoices, all here. I have the ability to filter and manage them as needed. I can adjust them here as well or report with them. Coming back to the customer card, again, we have details on the right with statistics and attachments. Like that. The rest of this customer card is going to show us addresses as well as defaults. So for example, on the invoicing, we might specify that they are tax liable and their tax area code. This would be defaulted anytime we created a new document, an order for this specific customer. On the individual order, many of these things can be overridden as needed. But on the customer card or the vendor card or the item card, we will specify the defaults and they will flow down for us so that we don't have to remember all of those things. You can see there's also options for payments as well as shipping. Where does this customer typically get their shipments? And statistics and reports at the bottom. This can help out any of our AR team as they come in here. They can view this information and make decisions of how to interact with the customer. There's also the ability to print reports. For this specific report, we have all of our accounts receivable and customer statistics. There will be various different ones for the vendor and item. One of the big things as we go into Business Central is the transition to a posting group mentality. So posting groups are the middleman between the customers, vendors, and items to the general ledger. So as we assign these posting groups to the customer card, these posting groups will dictate which general ledger will be impacted depending on the type of transaction throughout the system. So each of those things will be set up and will flow through the system so that your posting can stay accurate as you utilize this specific customer for any orders. When we want to create an order, we can create it here from the customer card. We can do new document. We're going to just open up a sales order. And as we open the sales order, we could have searched sales order, created a new one, and selected our customer. Because I created it from the customer, it automatically grabbed the customer number, name for me, and you can see it populated the address for me, a lot of invoice details that are the defaults coming from that customer. I can edit any of these things as we go about. I can specify different dates and details depending on what information I would like to carry through the sales order. On my sales order, I have the ability to add in an item. So if Trade Research would like to purchase a desk, I can do a search, find the specific desk that I would like to sell them. I will then specify the location it'll ship from.
Thank you.
Yes.
You can also do general ledger. The type of transaction can also be a general ledger, an item, a comment. So there's lots of different types of lines that you can add into the specific sales order. So it doesn't just have to be an item, but you do have the options of having all of those different types available as well. Okay.
Yes, so we can then specify the location. We can then add in our quantities. Our pricing can be defaulted from the customer. There can be discounts applied to this. You have the ability to set up all of those things. So when it's time to create an order, it's really quick. You can get a price. You can see what that order might look like and give the customer the information. There's the ability to add line discounts as well as processing prepayments on the orders. From the orders, we have the ability to post it. With both purchase orders and sales order, you can break this down to if you would like to ship an invoice separate or together. You also can receive an invoice separately or together on the purchase order. As you complete these documents and post them, they are then going to post against that customer subledger, which in turn is impacting the general ledger. We also have the ability to print the reports here. As we print these reports, I'll let it think for a second. We'll jump over to the general ledger. So one thing to note with all of these reports that you see within the system is they are highly customizable. Microsoft has worked really hard to take the information from Business Central and get it into your regular working Microsoft products. So Microsoft Word, Excel, as well as Report Builder. Each of these reports that you see here in the screen can be opened up and you can edit them. You can view all of the reports throughout the system, customize them, and build them for what your company needs. And this, most of the time, doesn't require any sort of development work. You can see all of these different reports within the system that can be edited and adjusted. This is not loving my internet connection this morning. We're going to jump into the chart of accounts. We always have some accountants on here that this is their favorite part. Cecily laughs if it's her.
Yeah, that's true.
She's ready.
I'm ready.
So we'll hide the filter for just a second. So as you can see here, this is my chart of accounts. These are all of my various accounts. Again, I have my clickable numbers. I can check or click into the balance and see what's going on here. You can also note that I do have some headers. Within Business Central, you can have both posting accounts, which are your standard general ledger accounts, as well as totaling accounts. So you can have a begin total, end totals, as well as headings, which allows you to display your financial reports in a workable way here in the chart of accounts. As we would like, we can filter. As I talked about before, there's filters that you can customize each list page that you see. So one thing that we like to do here on the chart of accounts is filter our totals by a date range. So I can come here and I'm going to go back in history because this is a test account. See what we can change there. Okay, perfect. So I use the ... which is through. So show me everything through 3/30/2021. So you can now see right here in my column, balance at date, this is showing me the checking account had $1,000 on 3/30/2021. Today's balance is $66,000. The net change for that time period over here was also $1,600. So this is a quick way to be able to run back and see our date filters, see what was happening, look at prior things without having to run any sort of reports. We also can open this up and it'll show me this is the balance, this is what was happening up until that day, which in this system is transactional historical data. So we want to go back. So the other thing that we can do with all of these views is we filter different totals as we save things. We have the ability to save this filter. So I could come in here and I could say March 2021, save this as a filter. Next time I come in, I can quickly run this filter versus all. So you can save many of these views out here so that you can quickly see the data how you would like to see it. If you only like to look at a few expense accounts, you can save those expense accounts by filtering the list down by the chart of account number. Another concept as we roll into Business Central is the concept of dimensional accounting. Let's come down to our income statement for right now. So as you can see right here, I have my income by services. I have a full balance of $28,000. I can open this up and I can see by dimension right here. These are dimensions that I have customized and added. You can choose the values, choose the determination of what they look like. We have tagged all of our department in this scenario as sales. Then we also have our customer group. So if I wanted to be able to run a report of showing my income, right, show me my revenue of services by customer group. Are we selling more to medium or small? We can then begin reporting that because of dimensions. Dimensions will be created, and then you have the ability on each individual customer or vendor or item or general ledger account to customize and default these dimensions. So if we come to our customer card, so I'm editing this specific customer. For tray research, I can come in here and I can say this is a mandatory code. We need them to fill out what area they have sold it to. I have the ability to allow which values they can select. I can select this as mandatory, or they have to specify the same code, or no code can be populated. So as I default each of these dimensions, I'm dictating when we use this customer on a transaction, do we need to populate the dimensions? So as accounting, we'll walk through and set all of these things up. Then at the end of the day, when we have our financial statements, we can begin filtering and viewing things by separate dimensions. So again, circling back to our sales order, here's the example of a sales order that printed out from the system. This one is blue. It's pretty. If you didn't like blue or your company colors were actually green, all of those things would be editable. This example is actually editable via Word. So it's pretty straightforward to go in there and use Word layout and formatting tools to change the color and adjust. And then you can save this, print this, or email. There is always the ability to send these from the system, setting up emails and sending those out to your customers either individually or in bulk. So as I have shown you I've showed you customers and sales orders. I just want to remind you vendors and purchase orders are the same. So they kind of process the same. There's different information, different steps of the process, but the cards and the transactions look very, very similar. From Business Central, we are going to jump out. I'm going to show you some of the reporting. One thing I did want to note is Business Central has the ability to create API connections via web services. So web services is their name for it. Each of these OData connections is an API that is easily linked into Excel to create Excel refreshable reports. These can also be pushed out into Power BI as well. I'll show you some of those examples. But these queries and pages can be created by anyone. You don't need any sort of development. You'll need to know what to do with this API, but essentially, in this example right here, you could export all of the purchase document lines. You could then summarize and report off of those in Excel or Power BI. So they really worked to make this available to all of their users and to simplify a lot of those creations. So if I wanted to add anything new, I could create a new one here, insert the page or the query, and it will populate and keep up to date an API link for me. So from there, we're going to jump back into our PowerPoint, and I'll show you kind of some of first financial reports. So financial reports within the system, they're now called financial reports, but a couple days ago they were called account schedules. So sorry, this is outdated so fast, but it really is a big move to move calling them financial reports. It makes more sense to the end users. But within our financial reports, we have two pieces. We have our row definition, which used to be called account schedule name, and our columns. So I can come in here and I can customize and I can build all of the different rows of how I would like to see a financial report. And then I can dictate the columns across the right. So as we build these things and we work within the system, all of these things inside the system are clickable. So I could say, oh, interesting, our cash year to date is only $10,000. I could open that up and dive into the transactions that are related to it. I can then adjust and change the column layout if I wanted to view something else. So before we were seeing our period to date and our year to date amounts, we could then view this by period. So this is month. I have a date filter up here in the right hand side for March. You can see that we're running all of March for this period, and then the period before that, which would have been February, and then January. You can see this information, you can dive into it. Now, with each of these financial reports, you also have the ability to print them or to push them out into Excel. You can create an refreshable report with this data. You also have the ability to update Excel and format it how you like. There's a couple buttons up in here of actions that allow you to export to Excel and update the same file month after month. So as you build kind of a dashboard or things that you might want to see, you can do all of that in Excel without having to take the step to Power BI. So there's a lot of options here with financial reporting and how you would like to view them. The same. So in this scenario, I was just showing that if you were to click into any of these buttons, you would then see the details here. You can see the net change. Oh, okay, interesting. We had a large amount in petty cash. You can dive deeper into that. Here's the transactions related to the petty cash. And if you note, this is just opening general ledger entries, and it's doing the filtering for you. From those financial reports, it'll pre-filter the data so that you can kind of see what it's looking like. This is easy to use, really great for our month-end closing transactions or end-of-year tasks, so we can see what has been happening inside the system. The other big win that we have is Power BI. Business Central is set up to push all of those financial reports that you build. All of these can create or be pushed into Power BI, and then you can build and display different designs. As some examples, this is a package that our Power BI team has put together specifically for Business Central. So they have built these things out. With Power BI, they have kept the ability to be able to drill down into this information. If you are taking your financial reports just into Excel, you will not be able to drill down. You would have to open back up into Business Central. But Power BI has the ability to pull all of that data and click into it. Another feature of Power BI is just being able to create charts and graphs and colors to be able to display your data, how your executives or managers would need to see the data to make business decisions.
It's the pretty data.
Yes, the pretty. Keep it pretty over here.
Keep it pretty.
The colors. So Power BI is a really good tool there with the API, and it can continue to refresh. So that's kind of a quick demo. There's so much more to Business Central, but those are some of the cool features that we wanted to call out to you guys to show you how that worked.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead, move on to the next one. So the next piece that we really want to talk about is, you know, like Mikhail said, this is a quick demo of Business Central of what are some of the capabilities of Business Central. So as we go in and look at client systems and talk to them about their systems and find out if Business Central is really a good fit for them, we also are finding out what type of implementations that you guys as clients looking at Business Central would be a fit for. One of the programs that we have is called Sherpa for Business Central. This particular implementation plan is perfect for organizations that want to take more ownership of their implementation and be able to, it's an 8-week program, Mikhail teaches it, and it is a fast-paced, hands-on work session, and you do it as a group. So it's not just one client going through it, it's multiple clients going through it. So it gives you that added benefit of having some other company that is going through the implementation at the same time as you. They may have questions and it's a group setting. So you get that added benefit of a group setting of a training, but then you also get that added benefit of a one-on-one session as well. So we wanted to introduce this implementation plan to you and kind of talk to you about what some of the things are for that. So it is 16 live workshops. So we do all of our workshops through Teams, and it's delivered over 8 weeks, 2 workshops a week. And then what we have is a group office hour. In those group office hours, those will be a time that you can go in and talk specifically to our what do we call ourselves? Consultants. It's early morning, you know. So you have the group office hours to talk to our consultants and ask specific questions about the workshop that was prior to that day. So it's 2 workshops a week. And then every other day is an open office hour. So you've got a workshop on Tuesday, you'd have an open office hour on Wednesday, a workshop on Thursday, and an open office hour on Friday. That really sets you up for success and gives you the tools that you need to be able to make sure you understood the workshop and can complete the tasks within those workshops that are given to you. Also included in the Sherpa program is a discovery session. It is important for us to understand you as a business, but also you as a person, and know what helps you to be able to implement the best way. So we do take some one-on-one time where we will meet with you prior to the Sherpa starting and get a list of what it is you're trying to accomplish? What does success mean to you at the end of the implementation? We take notes of that, we track it throughout the program and make sure that you are meeting those successful key points that you would like to meet. We also include in the Sherpa program initial setup of the company, as well as some additional 4 hours that you can use for one-on-one implementation configuration support. So if you wanted to take some time after the chart of accounts workshop and you needed some additional help designing your chart of accounts, you can call, send a message to us and say, I'd like to use one of my 4 hours for us to be able to spend some time one-on-one with your consultants to help us design those. Or you can use them to help modify some of those documents that Mikkel was talking about. You can also use them for things like, would you just go ahead and import my Open AP or Open AR? Included in our Sherpa program, we also will equip you with configuration packages and teach you how to use them. So essentially, through this program, we are teaching you to own the system, which means that you know how to use it, implement it, and import your beginning balances, your Open AR, Open AP, and it's something that at the end of the day, you understand the system well enough to be able to run it. Outside of the Sherpa program, there's always those little pieces that are also needed. Things like maybe you need some additional inventory manufacturing, or maybe you would like to do fixed assets. Those are called Sherpa Plus. And so outside of the Sherpa program, during that discovery session, those will be called out. We'll tell you exactly which workshops we teach and which ones would be considered the Sherpa Plus and outside of the Sherpa program. We also have a monitor Teams, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that here towards the end. We have time, we'll kind of give you a little bit of a Teams demo of what Business Central and Teams and how we use that to implement the system. Okay, so what does the Sherpa 8-week course consist of? What are those workshops? Well, these are the workshops that we teach you. We teach you the administration, how kind of what Mikkel did, but a deeper dive. All of our workshops are an hour and a half. And so we definitely have more time to dig into some of the core functionality. We teach you an introduction of Business Central, teach you how to maneuver in Business Central, how to personalize, how to get data in, get data out, not get data in, that's next, sorry. I jumped ahead, it's fine. Introduction is just how do you maneuver around in Business Central? What are the basics, right? Then we also go into our core accounting. We teach you how to set up your system. We teach you about posting groups. We show you general ledger transactions. We talk about bank transactions, and we also go into depth of the financial reporting and budgeting. In all of these workshops, I don't need to read through every single one of them. You can read those on your own. But in every single one of these workshops, we have what we call a tracker sheet. And in each workshop, you are given tasks to complete. For example, in your posting groups workshop, out of that workshop, you will be required to set up your different posting accounts. And we track that. And we also come back the next workshop and say, you know what? I didn't see your posting account set up the way that you wanted them to. And we might call you and say, let's do a one-on-one. So even though it becomes a group session, Sherpa workshops are also individualized by us tracking your individual goals. Thank you. This is why we have Mikkel with me. So go ahead and move on to the next one for me. So we have Sherpas running usually the Sherpas are running about every 9 to 10 weeks. We give about a 2-week lapse in between our Sherpas. But because of the holidays, our Sherpa that we're running right now just started last week. So our next Sherpa will be January 31st. Wow, I'm losing my voice. January 31st. If you have any additional questions or you'd like to get more detail on the Sherpa program, you can always go to that website that you see right there. We'll click into it really quick here for you. And basically off of this website, you'll see that some of the basic information that we went into just now, but you can contact us directly from there. Gives you a little bit more information about the Sherpa, including the price of the Sherpa. The Sherpa price is, I can't remember, $18,500. So you can see that it's a very much discounted price according to an implementation. So you're getting 2 consultants working in a group session through all these workshops, as well as some office hours for a really good chunk of about 10 weeks is what we say beginning to end you have. It's an 8-week program for the workshops, and then we give you 2 weeks to kind of work through any of those additional needs that you want. Okay. All right. So we promised you a little bit of Teams. So I'm going to kind of talk to you a little bit about how we use Teams. And I also want to kind of take another little dive back to what Mikkel was alluding to inside of Business Central. So when we do implementation programs, we use the Teams extensively to make sure that we're on track and that we are making a good contact with you. We use them to have team chats where we have the posts and we track any questions or problems or things that might come up with that particular project. We also track all of the files for that project. So any of the configuration packages, since we're talking Sherpa, all the configuration packages will be there. For any of our other kind of projects, all of the documentation, their chart of accounts, any of their open balances, open transactions, any files that we ask you for, they get put on the team site. This allows us team collaboration. What that means is I'm not emailing you a document and you're updating it and then sending it back to me, and we're hoping that we're all on the same version. All of those documents are stored on the team site. We stay on the same version. We all know what we're working through, okay? We also have what we call the notebook, which is basically a OneNote. Every workshop we teach has someone else. There's 2 of us that are on a workshop, and we will have one of us taking notes while the other one is teaching. So at the end of every single workshop, we send you a quick email that says, hey, this is what we went through today. Here are your tasks from today's workshop. And that is stored not only in that email that we send you, but it's also stored in the team site. So if you ever wanted to go back to that OneNote and take a look at those notes, those are all stored there on the team site for you. We also track tasks, and we'll be able to follow up on things that need to be done. So outside of the Sherpa program, so in the Sherpa program, we do not do the task site. So that's one of the big differences. The tasks are all on a group spreadsheet that we're looking at every single day. And when we do our one-on-one projects, those tasks will be done inside of the team site, okay? There's also a channel calendar where all of the workshops are located. You can always go back and see all of the different workshops that were taught, and the calendar would be out there. To go ahead and open up my Teams here for just a minute.
Sure.
Yeah, give me just 2 seconds then. And I will share a team site so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, okay? So let's go ahead and share my team. All right. Perfect. So this is our demo team. So lots of good stuff in here, right? So this would be our posts where we can write into one another, and we can send a post out. We can call out, hey, I need some assistance with different things, conversations, whatever it might be. So I could call out at John Galt and tell him, will you please update the item tasks, right? And then immediately John Galt would be notified that there is a message out there, and he can go out and take a look at that, okay? The other thing that you see, like I mentioned, we store all of our files. We give every one of our projects what we call just kind of some walkthrough documentation. So here's all of the different modules that we will teach. And then we also include what we call configuration packages, which are some things that will assist you with cutover, chart of accounts, master data, things like that. So all of that stuff is included in your team site when we upload that. Like I mentioned, you have the OneNotes. In this beautiful OneNote, there's no data. Apologize, I didn't put anything fun in here. But this is where you would come back in and be able to see, we'd have our discovery in here and then all of our workshop notes that go along with that. Within the tasks, this is where we would be able to group our tasks and enter in different tasks and who is responsible for them and what dates they are needed. We also have the capability to add what we call tags and group them by those different tags. So I can label them and say, I can see who it is for the client versus JourneyTEAM tasks. We can see accomplished tasks. Once you accomplish them, they move to the completed tasks. And it becomes a really great tool for us to be able to track how we're doing with the projects and keep track of those tasks. So kind of running into, or going back over to the Sherpa side of things, I wanted to show you how the team site will also assist us with kind of some of the different capabilities within inside of Business Central. So let's take, for example, that fun little, let's do this customer list that Kel was talking about. And let's just dig a really quick filter. And let's just say, hey, I would like to only show anything that has a, sorry, I need to grab the wrong filter. Filter this list by anything that has a balance due, right? I don't care about any of my customers that have no balance due. So now I can see, here's my list with all of my customers that have a balance due. I can very easily and quickly come in here and say, I need to send this over to, we'll just send it over to Mr. John Galt. Maybe, come on, Mr. John. All right, apparently my typing skills are a little bit too. And say, will you take a look at these customers? They have an outstanding balance. Okay. Any window that has that capability, which is basically any list view, it will go through and allow you to send these in through Teams. Yeah. So let's really quickly go over to John Galt. I don't know, we'll find out. It was signed in and then I took too long and it went away. There you go. So now you can see that there is John Galt's team site. You can see that link. And when he clicks on that link, or whoever it is clicks on that link, it's going to open up that specific instance of Business Central, and it's going to filter it exactly how I had it filtered. So I'm not sure exactly what you clicked on there, but yeah, I did several different things. So that's the cool part about Teams and sharing in between Business Central and using that little filter that way. So we've basically gone through an introduction to Business Central. We've talked to you about our Sherpa program, and we've talked to you about how we collaborate with teams and use Teams for our projects. So kind of open it up and ask if any of you guys have any questions or anything that you would like to ask. I don't know if we can open
another thing to add in a future release in Business Central. You will be able to have Teams interactions right within Business Central and be able to interact within Business Central right within Teams as well in both formats.
Yeah.
That should be coming in the next calendar year.
One of the really fantastic things about us moving to a SaaS version of Teams is the fact that you are moving those updates as the updates come. So Mikkel kind of alluded to that this morning. Just a couple of days ago, we had an update and it just went through and updated our system. And it's really a great way to be able to keep our systems up to date and not have to spend a lot of time doing upgrades, because Microsoft basically just handles that for us.
All right, any questions that anybody has about Business Central, about Teams, or both? And while you're thinking on that, I did share the survey link out into the chat. So if you'll please click on that and fill that out. It should be a fairly quick survey to fill.
We either wowed them or something. No questions. Perfect. Debbie has a question. I don't know if can we unmute her?
We can't.
Okay, you'll just have to type it into the chat. So just hit the little chat button up on the top and type it into the chat and we'll be able to answer your question. All right, I guess what we can do is if you do have any questions and you'd like us to follow up with you, go ahead and there's that contact us right there that you can either email us or call us. And in the survey as well, we will get that as well. So if you have any questions, go ahead and let us know that way.
We'll go ahead and just stay on the line for a few more minutes if any questions come in. Otherwise, yeah, go ahead and feel free to fill out that survey and drop off and get ready for your next session.